Time now for Down to the Wire here on Vegas Insider. I am Kevin Rogers, and we welcome you here on this Thursday evening. It's the last Thursday without meaningful football for a very long time. And no disrespect to the two NFL games tonight for the preseason, but we'll have college football next Thursday. The following week, Bills and Rams, and also some college as well. But at least we'll have meaningful football starting next Thursday, which is very exciting. And also week 0 begins on Saturday in college football. We have baseball to hit on. We're very excited. We'll bring Kevin Thomas on. He's a new handicapper at Vegas Insider, but he's a veteran handicapper, just new to Vegas Insider. And we're going to talk to Kevin about several things and get his thoughts on a couple baseball games tonight, as well as college football and the NFL preseason. So all of that is straight ahead. We're very excited for you to have take your time with us here on this Thursday evening. And we're going to begin actually with a best bet. I have 3 best bets for Major League Baseball. We're going to save 2 for a little later, but our first Major League best bet, we're going to have a total, and we're going to go with the Mets and the Rockies tonight as they hook up from Citi Field. Jacob deGrom takes the mound for New York. I mean, you see that line. They're laying 430. We're not taking the Mets on the money line. We're not even taking the Mets on the run line here. Just not going to do that. But Jacob deGrom, he's been dealing, and our best bet, we're going to go with the under of 7 between the Rockies and the Mets. And Jacob deGrom, he's 3-0-1 to the under in his 4 starts so far this year. Ryan Feltner, who counters for Colorado, he's an all right young pitcher. He's had his moments at times, and also he's been racked a little bit. He's hit the over a little bit more than the under on the road this season, but the Mets offense has not been great of late. 2 runs or less in 3 of their past 4 games, just lost twice to the Yankees. So you wonder how much they're going to press tonight against this Colorado team, who is really not great. But Jacob deGrom, though, he has been dealing. It's easy to see him get 9 or 10 strikeouts tonight and allow maybe a few hits and no runs. So the Mets could win this game 3-0 tonight, and it wouldn't shock me. So we're going to go Mets-Rockies under 7 as our first best bet tonight. We'll have 2 more best bets coming up in just a little bit. So let's now transition from our best bets to Kevin Thomas. We have Kevin and Kevin tonight. He is a new handicapper at Vegas Insider, but he's been around the handicapping game for a very long time. And Kevin, it's good to see you. I have to ask the question, the love for the Packers. If you look in the background there, you got plenty of Packers memorabilia. What's the love affair with the Packers?
I like that the team's owned pretty much by the city. I love that aspect of it. And I'm in Philly, so I've been to several Eagles games. And back in the old days, it wasn't fun to go to games. And I actually fell in love with Reggie White, and I followed him. And then I became a huge Brett Favre fan, and my love affair started back then, probably in 90. I'm going to say 1990 for the most part. And I've been a fan ever since. But up till then, I went to a lot of Eagles games with like the churches and stuff, and just never became I was a fan of Buddy Ryan and that defense, but never the offense. Maybe a little bit of Cunningham, but other than that, I was never impressed with the Eagles or the ownership.
So how did you get into handicapping, since now you're a part of Vegas Insider? You've gotten off to a great start in baseball and in football, but how did you get into handicapping?
It was just the love of sports. I mean, it actually started pretty young with just horses. I mean, my great uncle actually got me. He was one of those old guys that couldn't actually do anything. There was really no computers back then when he was into it. He used to be allowed to keep a couple books for the side. So he'd call my parents, and my parents had nothing to do with sports. It's amazing that I'm so into sports. My dad's a mechanic. My mom could care less about TV, but long story short, he used to put me on the phone and he'd talk to me about what color is the horse, what's the track look like, what's the weather look like. And I started taking notes, and I'm not a big horse gambler. I mean, when I turned 18, it was legal to go into these places and gamble horses. So I did. And I just love the rush of winning money, making event stuff. So I started entering a little contest here and there. And I entered a college football contest, 1,700 guys back in the day. And I won second prize. And the guy couldn't pay me because it was free money on a internet gambling site. So I was like, look, put me on your site as a capper. And it started from there. I mean, I actually, one of my friends that actually taught me how to read lines and stuff, he's a super sharp capper. We purchased the website, I'm going to say in 2000. Back then it was pretty much all email and stuff. So when everything went syndicated, multi-capper sites, it was either sell the house and go all in, or try to get on as many sites as we can. And that's what we did. We both went our separate ways, got on multiple sites, and tried to build our brand that way. And with social media now, it's doing the videos, doing the Twitter, putting out free picks, tons of research. But I've been having great success, so I just love doing it, and I'm hoping I can do it till. I mean, it's not a job where you got to get up and do any physical labor, so hopefully I can do it till I'm in my 90s if I make it that long.
And pretty much, you're doing this thing every day. You're into every sport that, there are guys out there who's concentrating on football and then they're done for 8 months, but you're concentrating on everything.
Baseball, basketball, college football, football, and hockey. I don't women's basketball. I know people do golf, tennis, stuff like that. I don't even do, and I know stuff about horses. I don't even look at that. But like I tell people on my Twitter, I'll give out like a free prop bet. I've been putting them on VegasInsider too. But I always tell people, I'm really big into the fantasy aspect of the sports. Huge NFL fantasy. So if anyone has questions or like, should I go this guy, that guy, and that helps me too with the fantasy props. I've been on several sites where they didn't have props. So, I use MGM, DraftKings, a bunch of them, and I do a lot of success in NFL prop bets. This is the second year I've dabbled in the MLB, and I noticed if you do the hits and stuff, you get more success in pitchers with strike stuff. I've been trying to go big with the home runs, the RBIs and stuff for the big plus money because I consider myself more of a sharp capper, and I'm not saying that taking plus money makes you a sharp capper, watching the lines and stuff, but for prop bets, taking the big plus juice, I prefer that. It's little risk, higher reward there. So you got me rambling. Sorry.
No, that's why we're here, just talking. I mean, NFL, just on that, before we get to some of your picks, you mentioned props. Are you more of the season-long prop with players or week-to-week props?
Week to week. I'm in a couple fantasy leagues, and then I go on FanDuel, do that. So you can see who they're predicting is going to, be when you pay the higher amounts, and then I start looking at what props I can get with them, and go over or under, looking at that stuff. Passing yards, rushing yards, TD scored, first TD scored, and I've done very well last year with those props. So I'm hoping that I can bring that to VI. Doing a lot of NFL props. And winning in NFL last year was probably one of my best years in 16 years. I was a little over 58% for the season. So I'm hoping that, continues here. I know preseason's hard to gauge. Preseason to me is a little bit easier. This year was super easy. If you're a totals guy, tons of overs. I think the odds makers next year will have to readjust that. Just no one's playing. I mean, over the years, mostly the defenses would play. So it was hard most of the unders would cash. This year, no one wants to play any other guys. They can do one series, get out, and then the backups, they can score on anybody. So this year was pretty hard. I think I'm 9-3 in the preseason so far. I have a pick on tonight's Packers game. It's not a total, so I'm hoping to be 10-3 after tonight.
All right. Well, we'll get to one of your NFL preseason looks for tomorrow in just a second, but want to get to two baseball plays, and we'll kind of go in order of the days. We have two of them that you like. We'll start in Baltimore. The White Sox and the Orioles. They meet up at Camden Yards. White Sox ended up winning last night. Important game for both these teams. Chicago favored. Who do you like in this one, Kevin?
I do like Chicago. When I see a line going from 105 to minus 120, or you have it at 115 there, that's a huge red flag right there. I wasn't even looking at this game because I saw Lance Lynn on the mound, and I know he's pitched well, but they're like 2-3 in his last 5. And then Jordan Lyles, I was riding him hard. His team's 4-1, but if you look at those 4 wins, I mean, against the Red Sox, they put up 16 runs. I don't imagine that here. Lynn's been striking guys out. He's been holding guys to like a 40-yard. He's been holding guys in the last 3 to 4 earned runs. And then you got Elroy coming in, Jimenez to play. That kid's a beast. I just think the White Sox have too much power for the Orioles. I mean, I love this Orioles. They're young, and I love them. They're fun to watch. I actually bought my first Orioles hat because I'm a fan of baseball being played the right way. Small ball, hitting the ball, stealing bases. I love that aspect of it. And I think they have a great bullpen, but that bullpen got utilized last night and the White Sox hammered them. I think the White Sox hammer them again today. So I would go ahead and take the White Sox minus the 115, especially when I get that much juice movement, it's just a huge red flag to me.
All right. So you have the White Sox tonight against the Orioles. Your other baseball selection, the Phillies and the Reds in Philadelphia going for the sweep. Philadelphia heavy favorite with Aaron Nola on the mound. Who do you like in that one?
I do like the Phillies minus the run and a half, and I would never take that in the real world. That would be a sprinkle with a parlay. I would parlay that with the White Sox. I'm not huge. The minus 170, that's huge for me. I would never bet that straight up, but these Phillies need to win. They got the bad news about their closer being out. Now they're toying around with David Robertson and Alvarado's coming up to try to be the closer. So they got probably one of the easiest schedules. And I know they end in October with the Astros, but the Astros are going to be so far ahead. That's going to be a laydown. So these Phillies, their toughest matchup, I think, in the next month or two is going to be the Giants, who have fallen off. I don't even think they play a team with a 500 batting average. They got the Marlins, they got the Diamondbacks, they got the Pirates. The Phillies need to win, because they are not going to win the NL East. They're 10 games behind the Mets already. They need the wild card. So they just need to take care of business. And I know it's hard to sweep a team in 3 games, let alone 4. And the Phillies are going for 4 tonight. And the only reason I would take that minus 1.5 is because of Justin Dunn on the other side of the mound. I mean, he's a young kid. He's given up 15 hits in 12 innings of play. And this Phillies team's hitting the ball. And the Phillies fans and the Phillies team got to be excited. I mean, Bryce Harper's coming back. He's coming back sooner than later. I thought it was September. They're saying he's going to be back at the end of this week or next week. So they're going to be excited for that. And I know once they figure out that bullpen, who's going to be the closer, because Sir Anthony, I think he comes back in September. So they don't really need to rush him back if they can take care of business with these under 500 teams. So I would take the Phillies minus 1.5, but I would parlay it with the White Sox just to give value to it.
Now, as far as the NFL goes, Kevin, with the preseason, you said you have a play on Packers Chiefs for tonight on Vegas Insider, Seahawks Cowboys tomorrow, and Seattle all of a sudden nearly a touchdown favorite in this game against Dallas. And Pete Carroll said Geno Smith and Drew Lock are going to get plenty of time just because you guys figure out who the quarterback is. And Dallas is pretty much set, and I think Dallas is just kind of getting through this with no injuries. But what are your thoughts with the Seahawks and the Cowboys and what you like tomorrow?
Yeah, with the big news coming out of Dallas that Tyrone Smith is pretty much going to be out for a couple of weeks. I mean, that's their big offensive tackle. They got to be disgusted. All the injuries. They're not going to have Michael Gallup for the first 2 weeks or whatever. I mean, this team can't afford any more injuries. So you're going to get second, third stringers right out of the bat. And you look at their last game against the Chargers, everyone's like, oh, they put up 32 points. Well, 14 of that was on special teams. And I don't expect that against Seattle. I mean, Pete Carroll's team might be horrible at defense this year. And it is a lot of points because the Cowboys can score in that fourth quarter. But Pete Carroll's team is really good on special teams over his career. You know, he focuses on that. He gets the good corners. And I think he locks down on these Cowboys. I think they take care of business, and they're going to run the ball. I know no Penny, and I don't even think he would have played anyway. But you got the battle with Locke and Smith. I still think Smith's going to get the nod because he played last year a couple games, and he knows this offense a little better than Drew Lock. And Drew Lock hasn't done anything great to warrant being put over Geno Smith. So it's still going to be a battle. And with both those guys and their experience, they're going to put up some runs here. I would maybe look at the total, but I'd be a little shaky because I don't think the Cowboys are going to put many points up. They might actually just play the game to get their kicker. Well, they only have one kicker, actually, Mauer or whatever. So I don't even know if they're even going to try to put him out there and get him hurt. So this might be a goose egg for the Cowboys.
Now, before we get to the college football for week 0, you have one play. Any leans for week 1 of the NFL, or you're not ready for that yet?
I wait till after all these games. I wait till I get all the injuries, because if I put give something out and that line jumps or something, then it's pie in my face. I even hate putting college plays up early. I like to wait. I like to wait and let those lines simmer, see where the public is, see where the sharp betting is. But I really haven't even started looking yet at the NFL for these games. I wait till see, because I remember half the quarterbacks didn't even play a series. They're going to be coming in dry. So I would probably play a little safe and maybe look at some totals in week 1, because I think the offenses are going to be a little slower than the defenses to start out of the gate.
Now, college football, Kevin, week 0 begins Saturday, and the big game, I guess the most notable game, is Nebraska Northwestern, with 2 Big Ten teams playing out in Ireland on Saturday, and that game kicks off at 12:30 Eastern. And Nebraska, nearly a 2-touchdown favorite in this game. We know how much Scott Frost has struggled so far as the head coach in Nebraska, but also Northwestern's no great shakes either. But you think about Nebraska now, new quarterback in Casey Thompson, the former Texas quarterback, now running the show there in Lincoln. What do you think with Nebraska Northwestern on Saturday?
Yeah, this is Scott Frost. This is his last season. If he can't get a top bowl or win the Big Ten championship, he's gone. Because these programs need to win this year, because with everything that's going to happen in college football, they want to get the best recruits. They need to win, because these kids want to go in the NFL, and Alabama's going to be full. So they're going to start looking at the Big Ten teams. So whoever comes out, like Michigan, Ohio State, these kids are going to be going there over Nebraska. So Scott Frost, he went all in here. Who knows what he gave Casey to come here to play, but he also stocked up on defense too. Last year, these 2 teams played. I know it was in Lincoln. The final score was 56-7. The problem with Northwestern is the offense. I think they averaged 16 points a game last season. That's going to be tough, because a lot of people don't talk about Nebraska's defense, but they're actually really good. And I mean, at Lincoln, they're really good. And it's that's a lot of points when you think they're going to Ireland. It's like going to Hawaii and playing. I mean, these are young kids, and they're in Ireland. It's beautiful. I mean, they're going to take in the sights and whatever they can. I mean, people think, oh, it's week 0, they're going to be focused in and stuff, but you can't get rid of that background noise. I still like Nebraska minus the 13.5. I actually liked it at minus 14, so 13.5. I would still take Nebraska Cornhuskers there.
Kevin Thomas, he has joined Vegas Insider. He's made an impact already, 8-1 in the NFL, and he is 3-0 his last 2 days in Major League Baseball, so doing a great job since he has come on. And you can check out his selections at Vegas Insider. Also follow him on Twitter at KevinThomas04. Kevin, thank you so much for the time, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Well, thank you, Kevin. It was nice meeting you, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, too. And good to have Kevin Thomas joining us and helping out our stable of handicappers at Vegas Insider. And we'll get to a couple more best bets for Major League Baseball in just a minute. But I want to say about Bet365. And we talked about them all week here on the show. And Bet365, they have teamed up with Vegas Insider to offer new users an amazing welcome offer. Bet365 Sportsbook is offering an exclusive bonus. Customers can bet $1 and get $200 in free bets. Users must use the code NJVIP at signup and be located in a legal betting state where Bet365 is licensed. This is for new users only, and full terms and conditions apply. That is Bet365. Check them out today. All right, so our first best bet we had before we brought Kevin Thomas on was Rockies Mets under 7. Last night, we continued our stay in Splitsville as we won with the White Sox against the Orioles. We lost with the Red Sox as they were up 2-0 on Toronto. Blue Jays came back and tied it, then won in extra innings, and Boston had bases loaded late. They couldn't score. They had a couple opportunities and just could not get any runs across. So 1-1, we move on to tonight. Already have one total in the books. We'll see how that one goes. But for our side of the night, and we're going to actually agree with Kevin Thomas on one of his plays, it's the Chicago White Sox. And I'll give you a couple of reasons on my end. Kevin Thomas had some reasons on his end, but I do like the White Sox here with Lance Lynn on the mound. Now, a couple things. Number one, the last time Lance Lynn faced the Orioles at home, he was laying 200, and Baltimore beat him. And for Lynn, that game allowed 6 runs in a 6-2 defeat. But he's been better of late. He's allowed 2 earned runs or less in 3 of his past 4 starts. Also, the White Sox 5-2 in their last 7 road series finales. Jordan Lyles off a 9 strikeout performance his last time out against Tampa Bay. But the Orioles did lose that game. I think Chicago bounces back. Lynn, he had been a Cy Young contender, not necessarily this year, but in the last few years and injuries, he has dropped off a bit. His numbers aren't good, but I think that Lynn will bounce back at the short price. So let's take the Chicago White Sox as our side of the night coming up in Major League Baseball. Now for our strikeout prop, and this one we went 0-2 on last night. Zach Gallen, we had the under on that of 5.5, and he hit 6. Mike Myers, however you want to say his name, he was great, and I was wrong on him. He went over a strikeout total. I thought he'd pitch a few innings. He was actually very good for the Angels, and they ended up losing that game in extra innings to Tampa Bay. But he pitched well. He went over a strikeout total. So 0-2, move on to tonight. We have one strikeout prop, and it's the Astros and Twins. And they continue their series in Houston. Astros go for the sweep. Minnesota's lost 5 straight. They've really been struggling of late. But Luis Garcia, he heads to the mound for the Astros. His total is at 5.5. We're going to go over his strikeout total. Now, earlier today, his strikeout total, the juice was at plus 105. It's up to plus 120 now. But I still like Luis Garcia. He had 9 strikeouts against Minnesota the last time he faced him back in mid-May at Target Field. He's gone 4-1 to the over in his last 5 strikeout totals of 5.5. And the last 2 games, the Twins, 8 strikeouts against Framber Valdez last night, 10 against Justin Verlander. So I'm just going to not trust the Minnesota offense right now. They have not been good. And I'm going to take Luis Garcia to go over a strikeout total for our strikeout prop best bet. So White Sox, Rockies, Mets under, Luis Garcia over strikeouts. Those are our 3 plays tonight in Major League Baseball. So we're kind of all over the place, side total and a prop for that. Now, looking at a couple of the Major League Baseball games from earlier, since we had a couple of finals, the game that just wrapped up a little bit ago, actually, no, they're still, no, top of the 8th inning. No, they still have a little bit of time left in that game. The Mariners lead the Guardians 3-1 in Seattle. Tristan McKenzie had 14 strikeouts the last time he was on the mound against the White Sox, and he is losing here today. The Guardians closed as a favorite, and they just won 2 games at San Diego, and Seattle off of a tough loss to Washington yesterday. They were a heavy favorite. They gave up 2 runs in the 9th and lost to the Nationals, but Seattle leads that one 3-1 top of the 8th. 2 finals, and the Cardinals end up beating the Cubs 8-3 at Wrigley. That total was 10, and it lands on 11. Amazing. The Rays pull off the 4-game sweep of the Angels. They win 8-3. Tampa Bay was laying 205, 210. That total was 6.5. Never even had a shot at an under. So that went over. 8-3 win for Tampa Bay. And coming up tonight, there's a total of 6 games. We pretty much hit on all of them except for 2. So the 2 National League games are Reds-Phillies and Rockies-Mets. The American League, you have White Sox-Orioles. The Red Sox and the Blue Jays finish off their series. Toronto trying to sweep Boston for the 2nd time at Fenway this season. Kevin Gausman, 170 favorite. And the total is 9 in that game. Minnesota and Houston, that line's dropped in the favor of Minnesota because the Astros laying about 155, depending on the book, and they open at 200. And then the Yankees and the A's out in Oakland, Jameson Taillon, he's laying 220 against James Caprillion. And the A's actually won the last 2 against the Marlins. Not saying that's anything great, but at least Oakland they're playing a little better. The one thing you give Oakland, even though they've pretty much been in last place the whole year, at least they're still putting up some kind of effort. And they're going to try to trip up the Yankees tonight. So that's what's going on in Major League Baseball, at least this evening. And for the NFL with the 2 games, again, these preseason ones, and Kevin Thomas mentioned it too, that the overs, there was a huge hit early on. I think the unders balanced out a little bit more last week, but curious to see how these teams play in this week 3 of the preseason. Green Bay, Kansas City at 8 o'clock from Arrowhead. Packers laying 1.5, total of 37.5. San Francisco's at Houston. Texans actually played well so far in the preseason, but San Francisco now down to a 2.5-point favorite, total of 40.5. And those are the 2 games tonight in the NFL preseason. You have 4 tomorrow. We mentioned Seattle, Dallas, and the Seahawks a heavy favorite. Buffalo's at Carolina. Panthers a 6.5-point favorite. Baker Mayfield, he will start game 1 against the Browns. Can't imagine he'll get a lot of playing time tomorrow. Probably the Sam Darnold show tomorrow. Chargers and the Saints. New Orleans a 3-point favorite at home, and the Patriots head to Vegas to take on old friend Josh McDaniels and the Raiders. Vegas a 1-point favorite. That's tomorrow night in the NFL. And tomorrow we'll look at more of the college football. You have about 8 games on the docket for the week 0 of college football, which has become very popular. And we have week 1 coming up next week. It starts next Thursday, in which you have a good amount of games on Thursday, then going into Friday, and then Saturday. And pretty much you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's a whole load of games for college football. And that week, the NFL is pretty much off in between the preseason ending and week 1 of the NFL beginning next week. So that's what we have for the what we have coming up. And tomorrow, obviously, no college football, and just trying to get through this NFL preseason, and as well a full slate of Major League Baseball tomorrow. We'll have more plays to give out, so we are very much looking forward to doing that as well coming up tomorrow night. Now, I want to tell you about something else that's going on at Vegas Insider. And we talked about how, our handicappers, they've done a great job and who to look for, but also a great deal for handicappers and for packages that are on Vegas Insider. That if you check it out now, that you can see this 20% discount at Vegas Insider. Act now to save on expert pick subscriptions. And it's very easy to find this coupon that if you go to the buy picks page, you go to any buy picks page, NFL, college football, Major League Baseball, you will see this coupon, and there's different ones at 20%. There's also $100 off monthly picks as well. You could find that. And in the NFL, you have the same thing where you have $100 off monthly picks. So you have a couple different deals going on inside the our pick department, our expert picks. So you could find that at Vegas Insider. Go to our picks module and buy picks, NFL, Major League Baseball, college football, and you will find some of these different deals that are out. $100 off monthly picks, 20% discount, as you see on the screen there. So a lot going on, and check it out now today at Vegas Insider. Coming up tomorrow, Paul Bovey will join us on the show. Paul Bovey is a longtime handicapper at Vegas Insider. He's great with the totals on NFL. Also, he's very good with the sides, but he also specializes in NFL totals. We're going to talk to him about his preseason. He's been excellent in the preseason so far, and what he's looking for to start the regular season. Also want to alert you on a couple other things. Our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV, we have a video that's going to be coming out tonight. It is the Travers Stakes that's coming out at Saratoga on Saturday. Big horse race. Anthony Stabile, who is fantastic at covering the horses. He's done it for a long time at Vegas Insider, also at Naira Bets. And he joined me on this video to break down the Travers Stakes and talk about some of the horses that you've heard of that were at the Kentucky Derby. Of course, Rich Strike, who won the Kentucky Derby. Epicenter, who's the morning line favorite at Travers Stakes, early voting. Zandon, you have a lot of these horses that were in these Triple Crown races, and they'll be racing coming up Saturday at the Travers Stakes. Pretty good prize there as well. And that's at Saratoga in New York. So you could find that video on our Vegas Insider channel, Vegas Insider TV on YouTube. Also, I have a couple preseason week 3 best bets you could find there. A couple totals. Rams, Bengals, Super Bowl rematch. Means much. But you have that, and also Washington and Baltimore. I have a total in that game. I'm not going the side, even though Baltimore is going for their 23rd straight preseason win. And we also have the NFL and college football team previews. Joe Osborne has covered the NFL. I've covered the college, and we're coming down to the top teams. So the latest video to be released was Baylor today, the Baylor Bears. But soon you'll get Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Miami. You'll get some of the teams to really keep an eye on for the upcoming season. You can find that again on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV. And programming note, tomorrow, 11 a.m., Chasing That Paper. You can find it on our YouTube channel with Joe Osborne, and he'll be looking ahead to the weekend in sports and also the Friday slate. So check that out with Joe Osborne. It is Chasing That Paper coming up tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern right here on Vegas Insider. My thanks to Spencer Ray for once again running the show tonight. Great job. And Kevin Thomas for joining us too. You can find Kevin Thomas on Twitter at KevinThomas04. I am Kevin Rogers. You can find me on Twitter at VI Rogers as well. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow at 6 p.m. And as always, best of luck with your bets.